All right. Hey guys, what's up? Ed O'Keefe here. Looks like we're going live. I'm connecting another Facebook account as we speak. And I have to just connect my Instagram account. That's live. Okay, now we go to Instagram. And I got to click the button that says go live. Yep, boom, there we go. All right, hey everybody, it's Ed O'Keefe. Welcome to today's live stream and show. Last week, we had an amazing training on how to sell masterminds, high-end services, professional services, coaching clubs, using micro events all the way up to big events. And so today we're going to keep on that topic of what is the fastest way to become an authority and seen as an authority in your area. Now, a couple quick announcements. Number one is you can make comments, and I believe StreamYard, which is the streaming service that I use, can pull in from LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, as well as I have multiple Facebook accounts going live on right now, and you can ask questions, and I believe I should be able to see it. So if you have any comments, questions, please throw them in. I have a few for the day, and super excited. Happy Monday. And so today, one of the big things I want to talk about is the questions that came up from last week's workshop all circled around this idea of my audience is not big enough yet for me to start running events, like in-person events, because of the fear of just not selling it out. And it's really interesting. So 2 weeks ago, Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins put on a 5-day masterpiece of a live challenge on how to enter the info marketing space and how to take your expertise and make profits out of it. And if you look at them and you see 800,000 people consume their videos on YouTube, and it's pretty daunting. It's pretty intimidating. It's pretty like, well, if these guys are doing 800,000 and I don't even have 50 people that would show up for something in person, it immediately puts that comparison trap in your world, and it immediately stops you from doing anything. And that's really why I want to do this, is because there's two things to really think about. AI is becoming the topic everywhere you go, right? Everything's AI. Move my camera or my light a little bit. It's heating up my camera. And the thing that people are going to want to have more than ever, especially your best buyers, people that should be purchasing from you, people that should know you, is they're going to want that human connection again. And the thing that I believe is going to become more important than ever before is how do you get consumption of your unique talent, your unique insights, your gift that you can help somebody, number one. Number two is how do you reach them? And if you have the power to just as quickly jump on Facebook and or connect with people utilizing the supercomputer that you walk around with, then none of us have lack of audience to sell to, communicate with, get our message out. The thing we have is lack of awareness that's where some of the most profitable, best opportunities are in our businesses, is whether it's 2 people, 5 people, 30 people, 300 people. I spoke at an event just a few weeks ago, great event, 300 people in the audience, 500 people total when you include the vendors. And if you look at that, my question on last week's workshop was, if you look at 300 people in the audience and then you take out the team members, like staff, employees, whomever might be, and you have 180 like core, like number one, like they're buyers from you. So what I mean by that is when you run events, the terminology a lot of people use, like there's buying units in the room. What they're referring to is, if I'm running an event for chiropractors and they show up with 5 people, there's 1 chiropractor, there's 4 employees. The buying unit means there's 1 person that has the capacity and capability to actually pull out the credit card, make the decision and purchase, right? So you can have a room of 500 people, but if there's only 150 buying units in there, and you know, the risk that you have when you put on a massive event, because now you have to work with hotels to have 500 people, you're 300 people. You have to get rooms for 500 people. You have to guarantee so many slots. You now have food, beverage for that amount. It's pretty daunting, right? And I would never recommend anyone just go from zero to that, because so many things can go sideways and so many things can go wrong. Now, the good news for like you and I is that you can have 5 people at an event. And if they're the right 5 people, you can have an extraordinarily profitable event where you actually get to know people, they get to know you, you make a lot of sales in that room. The conversion rate's going to be super high. The profitability is going to be through the roof. And what's your worst case scenario is not, like, say nobody buys. And I've had that happen before. So there's nothing I'm sharing here with you that I haven't experienced. Who cares? You're learning things. You learn what they want, what they don't want, blah, 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 blah. But you still have to get a room. You still have to do something. You still have to sell people, right? Or you have to deliver a service. We did an event so I spoke at the event with 300 people a few weeks ago. Probably about 6 weeks ago, I had an event in Tampa that I just sent out to my list saying, hey, I'm going to be in Tampa. If anyone wants to be interviewed and get video assets that they could utilize, it's one of the services we use with our Offer Wingman services. You can get interviewed, you get all these pieces of content built out for you that you use as a way to email out to your Dream 100, your best buyers, your leads, and it positions you as an authority pretty much overnight. That's the strategy behind it, to give you the quick version of that. And only 2 people from my list were able to make Tampa for that one day. But, you know, we charge $7,500 for the day, multiply that by 2. I take $500 out for the room. And if you do the math on that, you charge another 1,000, or it costs me like another, you know, say 1,000. It can vary based on what we're delivering, but let's just say $1,000 for the heck of it per person to deliver the assets and have the video guy there and do that stuff, plus my time. You're looking at costs is like $2,500. I'm visiting my daughter down in Tampa. I'm going to be there anyway for 3 to 4 days, and it's a great, very quick bang, profitable event. But this is where the bigger opportunity lies for us if we're selling anything. Okay, this is the big takeaway. The big takeaway is if you do that virtual, like what I'm doing right now is a live stream virtual. Whether there's 1 person on this, 0 people on it, or 100 people on it, it now goes across 5 different platforms. We can now utilize that to run ads. We can now utilize that content to create more content. But anytime you do something that engages your potential prospective audience, you get data back. Good, bad, and ugly, you're getting data back, right? Did anyone purchase? No. Did anyone watch? No. Did anyone do this? No. Who cares, right? And so the reality is that it gives us opportunity to get better at what we're doing. Now, in Tampa, I learned a ton of stuff. In Denver, learned a ton of stuff. There were different things being learned at both of them, okay? Now, Friday, when I did the workshop, how to grow your mastermind coaching club or high ticket services or attract your best buyers using micro events. The link's going to be in the description. You guys can get it absolutely free. And part 2 of it's actually coming up in a couple days. So if you're not on the list, go ahead and just register and you'll get invited to it, because I only got a quarter of the way through what I wanted to get through. Anyhow, what the questions were that were coming back were like, well, I don't have as big of an audience as you do, or I don't have as big an audience as some of these other people. And I said, if you are, I'll give you the 2 different examples. There's actually 3 examples that came up on the call. One was an expert in a niche industry, like say pharmaceutical industry. So he helps them, pharmacies, grow their business, prepare to sell. Well, it's so easy now for us just to go to LinkedIn type in the owner's headline or what would be their descriptors, and you're going to have, like, Sales Navigator will start building up a list of people, right? You have a list of people. And so I could either create a LinkedIn Live event, which I didn't even know that was something you could do. Josh Lee shared it with me. I can create a LinkedIn Live event and start building connections. Just invite them to a micro event that sells out, that solves their number one problem, right? Like, for example, in a lot of these niche industries right now, there's a lot of consolidation happening. And so a lot of these owners are concerned about exiting their businesses. That's very true in the pharmacies. I found out just by asking my client the questions. And if you can solve that, you could just do a micro topic with a micro event, inviting a micro audience to it that are people that would benefit greatly from it. Okay. And so you could establish your authority, create value. There's formulas on this, obviously, and I'm happy to share some of them here if you would like me to. And all of a sudden you have people that are going from, they don't know you at all. They're consuming your content. And now they realize you know what you're talking about, and you are the person who's uniquely qualified to solve their problem. Okay. That can happen in a very, very short amount of time. Okay. And that's just as easy as doing what I'm doing right now. It's just as easy as you just recording content, say on Zoom or Google, Loom, and posting the video to YouTube and then inviting people to it. Now that's a little bit of a block and tackle strategy, and that's really, 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 really good. Okay. The other friend of mine and client who's going to be coming out to our 2-day live event coming up soon used to be work with a 9-figure info marketing business, helping them accelerate the lifetime value and monetize the customers on the back end. Okay. That's his unique core specialty. So I just said to him, I was like, listen, bro, like create the piece of content that can help them, like give them a checklist, right? Here's the 9 to 29 ways, maybe 29 ways a company that's doing over, and I said, who's your ideal client? Okay, they're a company that's already doing 3 million, 5 million, 10 million above. Like, you get to choose it, right? And then you just create that piece of content. Guess what? You're going to have people that are below that. They're going to be attracted to that content, but you're going to attract people that are who fit that specific, identification, I guess, or best buyer. We call it a best buyer, matrix, where we look at like who's exactly that your dream client that would be happy to pay the most, that you can help the easiest, that is going to get the biggest benefit from you. That's kind of how we start laying that out. And then really quickly is, I just told him, like, no one's going to give you permission to go do this, brother. Like, you could do this in probably 1 hour, sitting there on a Zoom call. You do it. You create your little checklist on a piece of paper. You just pull out a piece of paper, spend 5 to 10 minutes writing out what you know, because you already know how to do it. It's your unique ability. It's the thing you're great at. It's the thing you did. It's where your experience is. You already know all the people you helped with, and you just write this out. Now, what I just want to push forward, guys, and really encourage you is it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you have a unique ability and you solve a person's problems, get to work on creating this content, because content is what moves the world. Now, the relationship is AI can accelerate your ability to create content and to syndicate your content. But what AI cannot do, and it's never really going to be able to do it unless we really become a ridiculous society. And this is why I believe we're going to be going fast back into micro events, relationship, face-to-face, and people really wanting to go deeper into these relationships, is that the ability to influence people and create transformational insight is still going to be person to person. All these awesome tools with AI and the automations is just going to allow you to reach more people with that. Does that make sense? And shortcut, reduce workflows, accelerate workflows, and your ability to go from unknown to known very, very quickly. Okay. Doesn't matter if you're just in the high ticket business, mastermind business, or if you are in like dentistry, personal injury, or any of these professional services. Your ability to make that leap from unknown to a highly specialized, knowledgeable expert in their life. It doesn't have to take a long time. Okay. So I want to say one more note on this. This is super, super important. So the structure of it's important. I'll get a little bit into the details of how we structure content at events, for micro events specifically. But the other thing I just want to share is people are becoming more aware of this. You may or may not be. So let me give you this. The Google came out with a research study that said I think it's 4, 7, and 11, something like that, 4, 7, 11. And what that means is that people need to be consuming, I want to say, they need to have, across 4 platforms, they want to consume 7 hours of your content. So I'm going to stick on the 7 hours of content right now. So a couple of tricks on this is that when people, and I see people are coming on still. So let me just tell you, guys, if you like what we're talking about here, there should be a link in the description to the free workshop I did last week, which is very foundational to a lot of stuff I'm talking about. Gives reference to, we were talking about how to create a mastermind coaching club and sell your service using events. The reason why I'm talking so much about micro events is I found that so many people were asking questions about, I don't have an audience. I don't have a big audience. I don't have a big list. There's so many strategies that remove that objection from getting started. And so that's kind of what we're focused on right now. But the 7 hours concept is people nowadays, unlike 6 years ago, unlike 12 years ago when I got into info marketing, selling books and doing this stuff and becoming an expert, is before people would just click on, say, an ad and they'd go to a page. And if you're selling, say, consulting services, or if you're in an industry or niche where it's expensive or they have to trust you, okay? Let's say you have the same fees or the same commission percentages, right? But there's a trust element to it. People are going to want to do research on you. So they're going to click on the ad. They're going to go to your site. You're going to retarget them. That's great. But they're going to go on YouTube because it's the second most search engine. And they're going to look for you. And then they'll start consuming your content. And if you have nothing updated and new that demonstrates your capacity to help them, they're not going to hire you. They're going to move somewhere else. The good news on that is that there's a lot of people right now. The good news on that, like if you're in a competitive industry, there's a lot of people out there running ads on a specific topic that probably competes with you. Okay. Whether it's how to get more dental implant patients, whether it's how to attract more bigger cases, whether it's, hire me because I'm the expert in my area. Fact of the matter is that people don't live in a vacuum, but you can create like a vacuum. And the way you create a vacuum where they come to you is you create high quality transformational content that solves the problems. Ed, I'm not good on camera. That's ridiculous. Let me just tell you this really quickly. I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 by the end of the summer. Okay. So did you know that less than 4% of the people that are actually creating content, or no, they're actually subscribers to YouTube, actually create any kind of content? So that means for people like me and you, that if we can solve problems, 96% of the population out there is not creating content. Okay. And what that also means is that if you're over the age of, I would even guess, I don't have the exact data on this. I know it's very, very low. I think my camera's going to switch. Stick me in 1 second, guys. I got to switch my camera right now. I think I got it. Give me a second. I don't know where I went. Switching my camera. All right, I'm going to keep talking for 1 second while I figure this out. What that means is that, why is it doing this? I could have sworn I could always just go, oh, there it is. Sorry, guys. I'm ridiculous. Here it is. It's right here. Boom. All right, so what that means is that I've always been able to if I'm able to solve a problem for people, the older I am and almost the worse I am means I have less competition. And you want to know why that is? Because so many people our age, like over the age of 45 or whatever, they're not creating content. We're in this delusional phase where we think that just because these young kids are creating so much content, it means that you have nothing to share and that you're not able to compete. And there's nothing further than the truth on that. Okay. Who wants to hire a 25-year-old if you're 53 years old, 55 years old? Not many people, right? So, you know, the one thing I had to even keep pushing with these really bright guys, successful people, you need to be more prolific. Now, if it makes you feel better, I'll tell you a quick story. So one of my clients a year ago, he's an attorney, and he came to me to help him position his offer to make it more sellable in a very specific market. He was in the how to help short-term rental investors protect their assets. Like that was his niche, right? And so that was amazing. But what he also did is he started creating YouTube content, and he turned it into his little passion for his criminal law practice. Well, did you know his criminal law practice jumped by $2 million that they were able to track, like literally track all the way to his YouTube videos organically. Do you know what that means? That means his company was able to generate pretty much free advertising. While everyone else is looking to spend the most amount of money in law, he was able to do that. Here's what's even better. He was able to get paid just under, I think, $250,000 in Google AdSense. So he's getting paid to grow his business. And so there's no better way to grow your business than to create micro events and micro content that helps build people know you and they trust you. In some industries, I'm not going to give you the middle finger. In some industries, they don't even have to like you in order to hire you. Does that make sense? Like if I get, the event I was at was in personal injury. So I'll use this example. If I get in an accident and I have 3 attorneys and one of them is a little arrogant, a little pompous, but they have the track record, or at least they show it to me because they're creating content and they're answering all the questions that I might have. Even those other 2 guys might be nice, they might be whatever, but I'm like, man, this is the guy who's winning, or guy or gal who's winning, so I'm going to go with him or her. Now, when I was, this takes us back way too long, fellas, but when I go all the way back to when I was going through nursing school, and you do like your little rounds and rotations, I remember going to the surgical rotation, and there was an ortho doctor who was like, doing total knee rehabs and doing all stuff. Total jerk. Had no time for any, like he was just all business, no like, hey, how are you? He's coming in, doing his stuff. And he was known as arrogant. He was known as pompous. He was known as being short with people. He was known as whatever it might be. But all of them said he's the best. And so if a husband and wife come in with their 15 or 16-year-old kid who just had an ACL-ish tear, and everyone around them says this guy's the best, and then someone out, they're like, well, we're looking in here and here and here, and they're like, yeah, but this guy has done 200 more than all of them, or 1,000 more than all of them. Who are you going to go with? You're going to go with who's the best and who's manufactured, whether real or not, the most amount of social proof that has people endorsing them. Now, that doesn't apply to everything. I understand that. Okay. But the reason why we got to have content out there is because it builds up the likability, or the no and trust factors first. And then if likability is there, that's even better. Because I'm someone, I like liking people that I work with. It's like, that's very important to me. But I just want to really hit that home. Okay. Now, what we talked about for the event stuff, like when we're doing the event stuff, right? So the thing that I said was probably the biggest problem that most people have when it comes to selling at events or selling for their stuff is, number one, you need to realize that if you're selling stuff, that your job is to sell stuff. Okay, like that is the ultimate outcome. And for example, when the mistake most people make, and most experts know this, by the way, who find it hard to sell from stage or enroll people into their stuff. What we found is that people struggle with selling stuff because they believe just creating more value and just giving and giving and giving and giving and giving is going to get people to buy. It's not true. And the reason it's not true is not that your heart's not in the right place, and it's not that their heart's in the wrong place. It's that the outcome and what's going on creates they're not aligned. And so, quick example, right, is if I run a workshop that's 3 hours long, and I think from the framework, I'm just going to give so much value that they're going to be like, I got to sign up with that. What you're going to end up happening is you're going to run a 3-hour workshop or a 3-day event or a 2-day event or a 1-day event, and everyone's going to tell you how great it was as they leave the building without ever purchasing. Okay. It's almost like a tell sign of like, if they start complimenting on how good you're doing on stage, that's not a great thing. What you want is people asking, coming up and saying, hey, this is awesome. How do I get in XYZ club? Or how do I get on the wait list to join your, and it could be a service you have, your community, your SEO, your whatever it might be. Those are two different types of compliments and outcomes. Okay. And so I'll give you a very specific example. You could apply this right away. So I'll give you an example. So Ken, who was who hired me to come into his event and help him as an offer wingman, structure the event in such a way that it was more organically, it would sell better for him. When I reviewed his slides, I said, hey man, you're making a classic mistake, and it's because you're a good person who wants to help people. And I said, and I'll tell you what he was doing. He was doing like the 10 of the 10 ways to scale your business, your law practice. And I said, instead of going through all these micro steps as the first thing in the morning, what I'd like you to do is change your intro to be like you could even have the first slide say, hey, here's your 10. We are going to talk about the 10 best ways to scale your business. And you guys can insert whoever your best thing is. If you're in like I have other clients that are in other industries and niches that aren't necessarily business building, but like you just say the 10 best ways to do blank, insert the thing. And so you have their attention on that. And what you do is, instead of going into that, and you'll cover it, you'll give the value, okay? What we do instead is we say, hey, before I go into all these pieces here, everybody, I want to cover a couple things that I feel are a good foundation for what we're going to be doing, right? And I think this will make the event 20 times better for you, whatever it might be, right? And so what I want to do is I want to take you back when I got started. And this is the beginning of your hero's journey story for you, that you're going to now set up all the different pieces you want them to get buy-in on. And so what I would say is, like, say, if I'm selling a mastermind or a coaching club or a service, or I want them longer with us, I first need to share with them and get them to believe that investing in themselves is beyond just the next day or the next hour or next 3 hours or next 3 days is the most important thing that they can do for the best results, right? And the way you do that is you tell your own personal story. there's multiple reasons for this. Number one is you're going to attract more people like you. Number two is you're going to attract your best buyers. Number three is everything you want them to believe about you and to believe in on you is probably found already in your journey. You either aren't telling the story, you aren't structuring it properly. And so when I come in to consult with a client on them wanting to sell the power of a mastermind or the power of blank, you insert your thing, right? I first need to lay the groundwork of why being a part of, we're going to take mastermind for a few minutes because it's easier for me to explain if I'm just staying focused on one thing, is like why the power of mastermind is the most important thing. Okay. And so what I said to Ken was, hey, Ken, just tell him your story. Like, when did you first find out about a mastermind? When did you first find a mentor? When did you first find a model to follow? What was it like before that? You see that? I just gave you like 4 or 5 questions. You can just answer those yourself, write them out. That's your outline of your workshop to get started with. You could do it. You could do it on Facebook today. Like, hey, everybody, I want to tell you about this, blah, blah, blah. But before I do, I want to tell you a little bit about how I stumbled into this. Okay. And what happens is, I think Ken, I might babble his thing up a little bit, but I think it was something like he had 6 or 7 years of just kind of trying to do it on his own and struggling. When it was myself, I definitely struggled. And every time I launch a business, if I don't have a mastermind, a model, and a mentor, I'm guaranteed to struggle. Right? It is the formula for struggle, is not having that in alignment. Trying to do it on your own is the way to fail. Being plugged into at least a mentor minimally, but then how do you have clarity if you don't have a model, right? And then how do you stick with it if you don't have a tribe and like people that keep sharpening the saw and pushing you and encouraging you and telling you you're going to be amazing, right? How do you take action and get feedback from the market, but you don't have something that's going to also give you third party like edification that you're thinking accurately? I mean, I don't know about you, but man, 90% of me not taking action is I'm just looking for somebody's opinion I trust to give me not necessarily validation. Sometimes it's validation, but just give me like, yeah, dude, you're sounding accurately. You're doing great. Because a lot of small businesses don't have a board. A lot of individual creators and entrepreneurs and info marketers, you don't have like 5 people on your board that have sold companies for 30 million, 100 million, 300 million for you to go up to and ask them questions. Like, we're struggling with this. Who do I talk to? Now, so here's why I'm sharing this. So for me, it wasn't until I stumbled across my first mentor. My first mentor was James Malinchak, right? James Malinchak turned me on to Dan Kennedy, okay? Dan Kennedy was the first that opened my eyes open to, oh, wow, you need a system. And then I stumbled for a while because I was like trying to take the ultimate marketing system that he had and plug it into selling stuff to coaches and athletes about mental toughness. I really struggled with it. And then I found, I stumbled on Corey Rudel, right? Corey Rudel was one of the first people to do this. And then Dan Kennedy's been a long time mentor. And then I learned, you can write sales copy and you can leverage it. You can send traffic to a sales page, and that sales page can be your 24/7 sales person, right? And that was when I first realized the power of mentorship. And all I wanted to do was be in Dan Kennedy's platinum group. And then all I wanted to do was and so when I first made my first little bit of money, my first investment was getting in a mastermind so I could be closer to a mentor. And the reason why I wanted to get closer to a mentor is because of my sports career, I understood the power of proximity. And the power of proximity allows you through osmosis, speed, and to get results much faster than most people ever will. Does that make sense? And so the first dollar amount I made in profit, I decided to reinvest it in myself because I also knew that as I grow, everything else grows along with it. Okay. And then I got around other high level thinkers who, when they looked at my problems, those problems were small to them, huge to me. Couldn't get around my own problems by myself because my problems were so big in front of me. See these stories, guys? See, can you relate to this, by the way? Can you relate to this on an individual level? And can you also see that if you're in the business of coaching, consulting, mentoring, and in every business, by the way, the sale happens when you get the prospect around visually their problem that they can see it in the future. Okay. And so my first experience was I got into the Platinum Mastermind at the time, and I had all these legends that were all 20 years older than me looking at my problems, and I was able to leapfrog to the top. It's another principle I teach in my book, Time Collapsing. It is literally the principle that people love the most, and I'll talk about that in a second here. But you see how that works? And so, like what I said to Ken, coming full circle back to Ken, is, hey man, just stick to that. Just stick to your story. Now, if you guys are liking this, what I'd like to do is invite you in the description. I'm running a 2-day event where we're going to talk about how to grow your most profitable offer, whether it's coaching clubs, masterminds, SaaS, service, with live events. When I say live events, my ultimate vision for you is that you're able to get people in a room face to face. But sometimes you got to get them virtual like we're talking right now. And then in that 2 days, we're going to go through everything you need to know about creating an outline for the 3-hour workshop, the 1-hour workshop, the 1 day, all the way up to 4 days. Okay. So it's in your description below. I think we're capped out at 30 people total, and it's priced in a way that actually you may be surprised at how affordable it is right now. That pricing is only going to go up because it's the first time we're running this specific one. It's only going to go up as time goes on. So check it out. And even if you don't go to that, check out the free workshop that I have in the links below as well. It's pretty solid stuff, and you can create value, put some cash in your pocket right away. All right, back to this. So what I said was, hey, okay, so you start with your hero's journey. Now, here's why: is not only do I get clearer when I do that on my own story, it never gets old. It's true. And everyone's going to relate to you on a better level. Okay. Now, what I would really recommend is you keep the energy of this pretty high, but you got to make sure that they understand the frustration, overwhelm, confusion, some of your failures you went through. Like, this isn't you crying on stage. This isn't a therapy session. This is you just telling the story. Okay. And laying out the importance of whatever your end service is, your end product that you're selling, Mastermind Coaching Club, dental implants, I don't care what it is. Like, even when I interview dentists, guys, I ask them, like, why'd you get into this? And I want them to share the story of why they got into it. And then I say, well, why did you spend so much time helping people with dental implants? And I have them explain that so that the end patient understands their why, like what gets them up in the morning. And I ask that question too. It's great. That is a great question, by the way. It's a great thing to answer. We talk to our personal injury attorneys. I'll say to them flat out, like, hey, so how did you get into this law? What are you most proud about? Because that niche and industry is being proud of suing people, and some of the social stigmas that are out there are a conflict. So I'm going to address it right out of the gate, but I'm addressing it in a question that puts the frame on the prospect of why I'm proud of what we do, right? No matter what you see. And so, like, you see how this works, guys? No matter what you guys see out there, whatever stigmas or whatever stereotypes there might be, the fact of the matter is we're helping good people get the results they deserve, right? And you can go into that longer. It's pretty powerful stuff. It could be applied to any niche, any industry. What our friends down the street, they launched an ice cream shop. Like, why'd you do that? Like, that's powerful stuff. Well, we love grandma and grandpa would help us as kids, so you go through the whole thing, right? But then now here's the next thing that I think is a pillar that most people never even think about is you're going to have third-party case studies or people. Now, this is for a live event in person. You can do this virtual as well, okay? And what I tell all my clients to do is that you have your microphone, right? You have your microphone, and you're going to have either 1, 2, or 3, maybe even 4 slides of case studies that are in the room and you've prepped them before you call on them. Okay, I'm going to demo this and then I'm going to unpack it a little bit. Okay, so the demo of this would be, hey guys, so principle number 3, how to build a professional network that refers all your cases to you, so you're getting leads and clients, patients, or cases 100% free. How many would like that? Whole audience goes, I got it. I want referrals, not have to spend more money on advertising and deal with crappy leads. Those are okay. Well, here's actually, before I share that, let me call. Where is Bob Furlong? Bob, where you at? Bob. Okay, so Bob, raise your hand. Bob raises his hand. Bob, will you share with everybody? So Bob is one of our platinum members. Okay, Bob's one of our platinum members. Hey, Bob, would you share with everybody kind of like your story? And actually, would you mind going into before we met? Now, this is well done. So Bob's going to now share a little bit of his hero's journey, and then he's going to come into it, and then he's going to share how he's built out a professional network. So you're taking the key principle that you were going to share in your 10 steps or your 5 steps or your 3 steps, but now you're embedding it inside the story of your platinum member. What's super, super powerful on this, write her down, giving you some of my best stuff, is that your best prospects will leave Bob's story desiring to have Bob's experience and have Bob's end result. That's number 1. So the future pace of a guy going, well, before I met Ken, or before I met Ed, or before I met Vinny, or before I met Jeff, before I met Mike, before I met Tom, these are all clients and friends of mine. Before I met them, here's where my business was. After our first consult, Ed told me to focus on a professional network. So that's what we did. And then what was great about it is when I got into the group, I was able to see how all these different businesses or firms or practices or people were executing the strategy. And so I took a little from Susie, I took a little bit from Lainey, and I was able to create this. And then what's so great about that is now we implemented it. We put a few distinctions on it, which we're so proud of. And our business has literally grown by 5 times. And before that, we were trying everything. We were getting a bunch of leads. It just was crazy, right? So here's what's cool about this, guys. Now, Bob just sideways sold your product, service, or thing, okay? That's what Bob just did for you. The other mentally and emotionally thing is Bob just future-paced the whole audience, okay? Now, and also if Bob shares some of his mistakes and failures and whatever, which I would encourage you, like when I come there, if someone's going to be a testimonial, I go out and meet them for 5 minutes in the hallway and I talk to them like, hey, I'm going to have you on stage. We're going to talk to you about this. And this is what's going to happen. So I have no idea what that sound is and the neighbors are. But if you set these people up, and it's really simple, like, hey, how do you like working with Susie? You love her? Okay, cool. What was your experience beforehand? Great. When he calls on you, can you share exactly that experience? Yeah, not a problem. Susie changed my life. All right, cool. Say exactly that. Like, this is going to be great. Because most people, when you give them a microphone, unless you kind of like give them a little bit of tell the before, tell the whatever, have the focus here. And then I always say something like, would it be okay if people come ask you questions in the hallway? And they always say, of course. Now, here's what's so powerful. This is what you do. You say, hey, okay, Bob, thanks so much. So, hey, guys, Bob's in Rhino. You'll see like this little yellow badge, this yellow badge that Bob's got. Well, everybody in the yellow badges, who else is in this in Platinum or Rhino? Raise your hand. Okay, all those people. Those are the people you want to go talk to, right? And so what's happening right there is we're creating the heroes in the room and we're creating the contrast of who's not there. The heroes are having these massive successes. Everybody else is not. Do you see how we create that contrast very elegantly? And so I usually like looping. I have like a sequence on that. Usually it's like, I want a big testimonial. I want like somebody from a big city, maybe they have a big business, blah, 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 smaller one, whatever it might be. But when you start like laying out, like who are all, like I want a man, I want a woman, I want someone who's white, I want someone who's black. If we serve other like Hispanic, like whoever you might be serving, you want those different people, because people are looking for like, okay, who, I want people like myself. So they're looking for that. So the better job you do at demonstrating that, you're just going to get better results. It's just, you're going to have more people relate to the room. The one thing that a lot of mistakes is when you go right in the content and you just bang through it and you don't do any of this kind of stuff, you're not getting that relatability. Like, oh, they're just like me. And sometimes people aren't going to relate to you. So by you having your different examples, they find out they can relate to you by relating to that person. And so that cohesiveness is what gets people to stick. That secret right there, by the way, and obviously there's nuances with all of it, but you can take that secret just by expanding your own, what I call catch-all, and you immediately start getting people asking how they get into platinum or how they get into Rhino or how they get into that thing. And we have, on the last workshop, you can actually get it for free. It's in the description. I talk specifically about how to have the back of the room or have people answer that question. If it's before you're going to open it up, okay? Like you can put them on the wait list, say, yeah, Ed's going to talk about that tomorrow. Right now, though, let me get your name and whatever. And also, we're gonna give you like a magic ticket for the party tonight that you can go to. That's only VIP only or platinum only. But if you're really interested, I can get you a pass tonight for this one time, so you can learn more and be around more of those people. That's a really elegant way of doing it. So it builds propulsion, it builds momentum, and it's a great way to do that as well. Okay, so I go deeper into it in the free workshop, so make sure you check that out. Okay, now there's a couple other things I want to tackle. Number two is, and I know I'm going a little longer than I expected, but number two is that what you have to realize, and this is a mind virus that a lot of people get into, is that your number one way to get people to transform their problem into transformation is to get them to buy more of your stuff and invest more in themselves with you. Okay, I'm going to say it again. This is a very counterintuitive. There's a lot of stuff like, well, if I just create enough value, people will buy. That's not how it works. It just is not how it works. If you create enough transformational insights, that's how you get people to buy. And what I mean by that is I could share a slideshow of 21 ways to do blank, speak for 90 minutes, not touch on anything other than the tactics and strategies of doing that. And all I'm going to do is have somebody at the end of that with a long list of stuff they now need to do. Okay? However, if I only did a 15-minute workshop and I spent 12 minutes explaining why most people fail getting this outcome, which is their desired outcome, and everything I bring up, they can relate to, like, man, I tried that. He's so right. That's why I'm stuck. Okay? Oh, I'm trying to do everything. Like, you're just trying to create value. You hope they buy. That's a counterintuitive frame, by the way. Why not create a lot less value if you only have 90 minutes, but create more insight? And that insight gives them exponential long-term value because they realize that the best thing they can do is invest more in themselves than with you than just take your to-do list and go off on their own. The lone wolf is the quickest path to fail. I say it all the time. Lone wolves die in the winter. The pack survives. You are the mentor. You're part of the pack, even if it's a one-on-one thing. That's the secret for them. Okay? The fight never starts till they get punched in the mouth. You need to convince them that. So who are you going to call when you get punched in the face? You got to have a mentor. You got to have a tribe. You have to have a model. Okay? And so we really press into that. The other thing is, Dan Kennedy's the one who actually hit me in the face with this, is like, you can't transform somebody's life in 30 minutes. Of course, in NLP and hypnosis and all this stuff and change work, I get it. We can remove phobias. We can change belief systems. But the fact of the matter is that I can't have somebody really 10x their business, 100x their business in 30 minutes with my system if they're going to watch 9 other presentations because they're going to be so confused. However, if I can convince them in 29 minutes, 30 minutes, 90 minutes, a day and a half, that being a part of the thing that I built out is the thing that's going to get them the result that they're desiring, and they invest more, which means they buy. They buy, which means you as an expert, as a business owner, you have to realize your job is to create an environment that gets them to buy, which means you're in the job of selling stuff. And so with Offer Wingman, we make it elegant because we use all these different persuasion tools to get them asking to be in your thing before they ever get pitched on the thing. Okay? And so that is a big thing you just got to realize. And what I found is, I address it in the free training, the 2-day event we're going to be doing. I'm going to do this for you. You're going to walk away with a 2-day blueprint, but a 2-day event blueprint or 3-day event blueprint that sells on your behalf with the messages. But here's the reality, and all the links are in the description, guys, so I don't need to send you off to any links. But here's what you got to realize. You got to realize that if you do not extract their desire to be in the future with you, which means they spend money with you, they're not going to get the result that you're promising. Does that make sense? And so approaching your thing, your micro event or your big event, as an opportunity to persuade people to buy stuff is your first and foremost goal. Okay? And that's not sleazy, that's not pimpy, that's not anything. That is just the fact of how you can help people. Now, what everybody does backwards, I have the garbage man outside my garage office. That's why they're moving all my stuff around. I should have that closed. Sorry, guys. What everyone does backwards, they're like, oh, who is the let's go hire a famous rock star to be at the event to talk about his or her success journey. Oh, wow, that's so cool. You're going to go spend $100,000 on a famous dude that everybody's going to forget, and it's going to be really rocking cool. But my only question on that, and I'm not even saying you don't do that, by the way, but my first question it would be is the celebrity that you're bringing in attracting the people that are perfect for your group? And is their message going to be fully aligned with selling more masterminds for you? And if the answer is no, they better pull a ton of people. Otherwise, you just wasted $80,000, $100,000, $120,000 on a face and a name that does not push any business to your business. I had a great mentor years ago, Ben Altadonna, told me, he's like, don't do that. He's like, unless you're in the celebrity business and that's what you want to do, you could easily go out and get a B-level, a C-level celebrity that's perfect for your age demographic, that is $12,000 to $20,000 max, who's going to attract the right people to your thing, and it's going to be congruent with what you're doing. Like Tim Grover is, I don't even know what he charges, right? Tim Grover, great guy. I don't know him personally, but wrote one of the best books, Relentless, right? About Michael Jordan, about going all in, pushing the chips, being a killer, being a cleaner. You got to be the baddest dude in the gym. You got to do, he talks his stories about working with the best in the world, right? Well, Tim Grover, you could stick him in any event, and I could piggyback off of probably everything Tim said. And it's like, the celebrity in that is Michael Jordan. And this is the guy Michael Jordan hires. That's why you want him here. Oh, man, that's going to be badass. Tim's a badass, right? And I mean, I can go list. I'm thinking about a couple other people. I just don't know their fees and stuff like that. So, like that's a more congruent thing because it builds and builds momentum. Now, the other thing you do is a lot of guys make this mistake. They're like, yeah, I'm going to put sponsors on my stage. Well, we need sponsors to help pay for the ad spend. I totally get that, right? That's a great thing. You want sponsors. But if the sponsors suck at speaking, why would you ever put them within 6 hours of your pitch for the mastermind, or 8 hours? Or, I mean, maybe I'd have them on day 3, to be honest with you fellas. Maybe I'd have them on day 3. I'd have the first day and a half just be my members, me, and I'd have the day 3 be all like the block and tackle strategy day, I'd have to think through that a little bit, but I would really push them a bit. And I'd say, if you're going to suck up my stage time, is it really worth the 12,000 or 20,000 you got from it? In some cases, the answer is yes. I get it, right? But in some cases, it might not be worth it. So you really got to measure that. Like how many mastermind guys are you losing because you have a very, very not great sponsor on day one? Like I looked at a couple of sponsors and I was like, why aren't they should, I could go up there right now, not know anything about their product and sell their product better than them. And I'll tell you why. Because all I would need to know, I'd say, hey, listen, just tell me all the problems your best clients have. Okay. And then just tell me in less than 1 minute what your service does or product does. And all I would do for 20 minutes, talk about all these problems. Here's the 9 ways people don't grow their business. Boom, 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 boom. Get them all nodding their heads. Yes, I do that. I totally get that. I totally get that. Good. Well, here's the deal. We have a solution. And then I give the 1 minute solution. If I did a good enough job in that first 18 minutes, say I'm only speaking 20 minutes, going over the 9 ways, say it's 30 minutes, say it's an hour, it doesn't really matter. If I did that, if I do it properly, guess what's going to happen? If they relate to you and you've tapped on all their problems perfectly enough because you understand what your job is to do there, they're going to pull out their credit card, they're going to run in the back of the room, they're going to run to your booth, and they're going to say, how do I hire you right now? And I don't even really know what you guys do, but how do I hire you right now? Okay, cool. Can you just take care of it for me? Yes, we can take care of you. Great. That's how you sell from the stage. That's how you sell from micro events, right? So it's how you sell masterminds. It's how you sell coaching clubs, okay? Really, I mean, you know, guys, I wish I could say no, I don't even want to say that. The fact of I'll wrap this up now. The fact of the matter is, I can name every single mentor I've had that's taught me all these distinctions. Everybody from Tim Paulson to James Mollichuk to Dan Kennedy, Ron McGran, Travis Sago, Mike Golden, even some of the ones I've just only been virtual with, you know. And there's so many right now that I still watch on the weekly and daily. And those distinctions is what moves people to the next side of the aisle, right? My backstory was I hired Tim Paulson at a really important time. My mastermind only had 10 guys in it, and I was running my first big event, right? I think I had like 80 to 100 dentists in the room, and I spent $50,000 on Tim Paulson to come in and be my wingman to teach me how to orchestrate the room. And big risk, strategic risk. But I knew that if I could learn what Tim knows, because I saw Tim sell over $1 million of high ticket offers on a virtual, like I watched the recordings of the event. It was for Joe Polish back in the day. And I saw people just go and buy like crazy, right? And I was like, if I could learn what Tim learns, then I'll have it the rest of my life. And it's true. And I'm still relearning it because I'm going back through stuff that we worked on, working with clients, and I'm relearning lessons every day. But we structured the event the way I've just kind of explained it to you. And I know I left stuff out because of time's sake, right? But the thing I want to share with you is by far was one of the best investments ever made, because we were charging, I think at the time, $18,000 to be in our gold. And at that time, I think we had 42 out of the 80. Like it was like, I think our conversion rate on the mastermind was very close to 50%, a little below it. But man, the stampede happened. People went crazy for it. And they never felt so. It was the best party we ever had that night. Like everyone was in the best mood. People were thanking me. It's the best event I've ever been to. And when you orchestrate things like that, that's how people buy and thank you at the same time. Okay. So if you guys like this, if you like this kind of stuff and you're selling masterminds, coaching clubs, services at events, either virtual or in person, go ahead and check out the description below. We have 2 really cool things going on. Number one is you got the free workshop inside the description. Silly not to look at it. I think I made it, as of right now, it's on demand, and we have more little micro events coming up. Number 2 is I do have a 2-day intensive coming up where everything that Tim taught me, plus all the other different people who taught me stuff. We're going to get your message dialed in. We're going to get your audience dialed in. And we're going to walk out of there with your perfect pitch, along with the perfect outline that makes it all flow elegantly. So people are being sideways sold, experiencing massive value, building new relationships, and walking out of there having already invested in your program. The experience you will have, and what's so cool about social media nowadays, is you could go live and start doing these elements. Pick a different topic, a different psychological persuasion tool you want to use, and just go live with it. You just get so much practice every single day, and you'll start getting buyers. If you're just tuning in now, we talked about the power of micro events, whether there's one person or 30 people or 3 people or 5 people. Those could be the most profitable events you ever have. So click on the link below inside there. And if you have a question, please leave a comment. If you want me to talk about another topic in these lines, like, will this work for me? And if I run a professional practice, yes, I've spent most of my life helping professional practices use video and authority-driven stuff, grow their business, get the best cases, make the most amount of money, and be the number one authority in your area. If you're worried about, like, Ed, I'm not good on camera, I don't know if I can do that, I don't know how to sell on stage, I really get awkward, and I just want to be an expert and people to beat a path to my door, well, then you already know that them beating a path to your door is not going to work, because you need to have a way to bridge the gap, which means you have to have your signature story told in a hero's journey process that uses then other different tools that you could just be yourself and people will want to buy from you. Okay. So if that sounds cool, go ahead and check it out. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. We're going to be doing a lot more of these lives. If you want to follow me, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, make sure, or LinkedIn or Instagram, because we're on all of those right now. And then we're going to load this up, I think, to TikTok's going to be next. And yeah, we're just going crazy with it. All right. Have an amazing day. Appreciate you. Make sure you know what your number one job is when you go to build out these micro events or big events. Okay. And we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys.